Hey everyone, welcome to 996 The Howl for the uninitiated. This is an unedited YouTube vlog discussing everything Arizona Coyotes and probably the most positive season review we'll see this off-season. Looking at player stats, how everyone, matched up against each other, who were the good players on the team, who were the disappointments, and a lot of disappointments this season, but a few bright spots that will carry us through this off-season, hoping that they take an even bigger step next season. So let's get into it. We'll start with the forwards, led by Phil Kessel, who had a terrible season last year. I was harping on him hard. A lot of people were, questioning why the team acquired him, but apparently if he's healthy and not, getting aggravated by injuries, he's a pretty darn good player. He led the team with 20 goals, 23 assists, and 43 points, leading the team in goals and point total. Garland, after him, who was injured for a couple games, he only played 49 games. He scored 12 goals, led the team in assists with 27, and finished with 39 points in 49 games. Garland was excellent. He took another step forward this season. He immediately accepted the invitation to play for the United States in the World Championship starting this May. I believe last video I said March. So Garland was good. I liked he worked on his footwork, his positioning, his board work. Very quick to change angles and to get around opposing defenders. A lot of defenders were having a hard time trying to box in Connor Garland, which led to Garland drawing a lot of penalties. At points in the season, Garland was top 5 in the league in drawing penalties. So I expect him to take an even bigger step. He's one of our special players who's also a restricted free agent, so I hope we see him signed to a long-term contract soon. After Garland is Clayton Keller. As you can see, Keller and Schmaltz with the red writing. Disappointing seasons by them. Keller's was okay, but still 35 points on an 82-game season pace. It would only be 51 points. And we're still looking for that Clayton Keller from his rookie season where he got 65 points. So I really look to Keller as a 60-point player to live up to his contract. So he missed the mark this season. However, he did score 14 goals. And in a regular season, that would be over the 20-goal mark. If you want to look at players who would have scored 20 goals in a normal length season, it would be Kessel, Garland, Keller, Dvorak, and Bunting. So that's way more than just one player we had last season, which was Connor Garland. And the year before that, we had 0 20-goal scorers. So we're getting some scoring. We're getting more players in that 20-goal range. Hopefully they all stay on that pace next season, and hopefully other players like Schmaltz and whoever Bill Armstrong decides to pick up in the offseason, hopefully they score on a 20-goal pace as well. Schmaltz, 10 goals, 22 assists, 32 points. Yeah, he was stuck on that 10-goal mark for probably the last 15 games of the season. His goal scoring and point production kind of halted after a bit. After about the 40-game mark, his production just came to a halt, which was very unfortunate to see. There was times where Tocchet played him on the fourth line for like 5 games, in which I was very against and very disappointed in Tocchet, resorting to those sort of coaching tactics where you have such an offensive forward who does a lot of good things on the offensive end, but because he has a couple off games on the back end, he gets demoted playing with John Hayden. I disagreed with that, and that's probably the result why his confidence was shot and his point production and goal production just sort of stopped down the stretch. After Schmaltz, Christian Dvorak with 17 goals, 14 assists, 31 points. Obviously more of a two-way guy, more of a face-off guy. We look to him to be good defensively and to kill penalties, but to pot in 17 goals, just a great season by Dvorak, one of my favorite players on the team. he does ghost for certain times on the goal scoring front, and he loves to score in bunches. He had like 5 or 6 multi-goal games this season. I think about probably 4 or 5, to be honest. But whenever he scores one, it always seems like he'll score another. And even Friday, the second last game of the season, he was looking for that hat-trick goal against San Jose. Very unfortunate. He still hasn't got a hat-trick in the NHL, and he's got a lot of 2-goal games. So hopefully he breaks that next season. Moving on to Derek Brassard, who was acquired in the offseason. Bit of a disappointment, I would say. 8 goals, 12 assists, 20 points. He was in the top 6 most of the season, so I expect his offensive production to be way better than that. Obviously, he's an aging veteran. I'm sure he would have. Those are better points than what Derek Stepan would have put up if he was still on the Coyotes. Derek Stepan left the Ottawa Senators for injury reasons, I think a month into the season. So obviously he did better than Brassard. Brassard did better than Stepan if you're just comparing the two without looking at any other factors. But I expected a little bit more from Brassard. Maybe it's unfair to him. I'm sure you guys might disagree with that, but I expected a little bit more, at least over 10 goals. You have Michael Bunting, which was a great surprise near the end of the season, getting 10 goals, 3 assists, 13 points in only 21 games. So on pace for about a 40-goal season. It seemed like all he did was score once he got into a lineup, and all he does is go right to the front of the net, which is, we need more players like that. We need more players who, as soon as they enter the offensive zone, their goal is to just go in front of the net, screen the goalie, look for rebounds, pot in those dirty goals. We need more of that, and I guess that's why he succeeded so much, was because he was the only player who was doing that on the Coyotes. A lot of these Coyotes guys play the perimeter a bit too much. I think Garland was the only other forward who would go right to the front of the net, and Phil Kessel too. He scored a couple of goals in front of the net to start, and then the last couple of goals were just like Phil Kessel-esque, wrist shot goals. After Bunting, a couple of disappointments in Krause. 4 goals, 9 assists, 13 points. He had 15 goals, a season ago. So a step back for Lawson Krause. Not sure what was going on with him. Him and Fisher, just huge disappointing seasons. The team really needed some depth scoring, and I feel like Krause and Fisher dropped the ball. Larson, 8 goals, 6 assists, 14 points. Just like Brassard, I just expected a little bit more out of Larson, who's playing with Phil Kessel a lot, so you expect his point numbers and offensive production to be much higher than that. Moving on to the defense, there was only one bright spot in Jacob Chychrun, who had 18 goals, 23 assists for 41 points on the season. I mean, second in goal scoring on the team, tied for second in assists, and in second place with total points. Chychrun down the stretch was the best Coyotes player. He played with urgency. He played with passion. He wanted the puck. He was a game changer, a game breaker, a player that we hoped one of these forwards would be. Connor Garland is becoming that type of player. But Chychrun really stood out this season. He should be in the conversation for a Norris candidate. And just nothing but great things to say about Chychrun. Even on the defensive side of the puck, he's a great defender. And we're very comfortable in Jacob Chychrun defending. After that, just a lot of huge disappointments. OEL with 3 goals, Goligoski with 3 goals, Osterley with 1, and then Demers with no goals. He played about 40 games this season, not scoring a goal at all, only mustering 4 points. In comparison, Jordan Gross played 7 games and managed to get 3 assists in those 7 games, so much better than Demers. Obviously, Demers is not going to come back. I hope Goligoski comes back in the offseason on just a shorter term and way less money value. If you look over here, he led the team in blocked shots, so he's got some give to him. He's still got a lot of hockey left in him. And down the stretch, he was almost a point per game player. But to get out of the gate, I think he went 2 points in his first 30 games, which was very disappointing. But he picked it up down the stretch, I think, which coincided with Chychrun's, improvement in his offensive play. Osterley, not sure what happened. He was scratched for about 10 games straight after one Vegas game where they got blown out 7-4. Rick Tocchet just refused to put him in the lineup. And then near the end of the season, Osterley played about a couple games forward, fourth line center, which was just, I felt, disrespectful to Osterley. I'm not sure why he was in Tocchet's doghouse. I thought he was pretty good this season, all things considered. I mean, the defense kind of let the team down, but I wouldn't put Osterley at the top of that list that let the Coyotes down defensively. I would more go towards OEL and Demers before I would get to the conversation about Jordan Osterley. I hope they re-sign him. Cheap one-year deal, just as a bounce-back type deal. He was awesome in the playoffs and the play-in rounds last season. And to begin the season, I was very confident in Osterley too. Just not sure what Tocchet saw that I didn't see in Osterley's play this season to scratch him so much. Moving on to the goalies, more disappointment. Our two starters, Kemper and Ranta, very underwhelming numbers. Both were injured at times and at the same time this season. Kemper led the team with 10 wins, 11 losses, and 3 overtime shootout losses, a .907 save percentage, and a 2.56 goals against average. The goals against average is not bad, 2.56. It's not his best. He's obviously had way better numbers last season, which is why he's in the red. Just a disappointing season from Kemper. Didn't really feel comfortable. I thought he was very pedestrian. He wasn't playing up to his standards at all throughout the whole season. And that save percentage number is really bad for a starting goalie. It needs to be .915 at least. If you want to be a regular starting goalie, that gives your team a chance to make the playoffs. Ranta, again, had a miserable season, very disappointing season. Glad he's not coming back to the team. Just riddled with injuries. Even when he's not playing, he'll still get injured in practice or even sitting on the bench. He was 5-5-2, a .905 save percentage, and a 3.36 goals against average, which is just brutal third-string goalie numbers, and really lost the backup job to Adin Hill this season. And hopefully Seattle doesn't take Adin Hill. There's a lot better goalies on the market than Adin Hill. So hopefully next season we have Kemper and Hill as our goaltending tandem. Hill finished the season with a 9-9-1 record, a .913 save percentage. That's what you want. That's what you want to see from your starting goalie. Over .910 for sure. And a 2.74 goals against average, a bit high, higher than Kemper's, but still I love the job Adin Hill did. Came in, was confident, was calm. He hasn't played much in the past calendar year. So to come in and just be confident, and the team played really well in front of Adin Hill, I found, compared to Kemper and Ranta. So hopefully Hill signs a contract with the Coyotes. I would say a 2-year deal, one way, maybe $1.5 million, just to solidify that Adin Hill's now an NHL goalie for the first time in his career, and that should be enough incentive for Hill to sign a contract and just improve his game and become an NHL starting goalie. So moving on, we have some miscellaneous stats. A couple of these pretty surprising. We'll start with hits. Krause led the team with 155 hits. Him and Fisher were averaging about 3 hits per game, which is what they were averaging last season as well. Pitlick also had about 86 hits, but Pitlick missed 18 games, so he's not really on this board because he missed most games out of the forward group and the defensive group. Block shots, like I said, Goligoski led the way with 108 blocks. Shots was Jacob Chychrun with 176 shots. He was just shooting so much near the end of the season. It seemed like whenever the Coyotes entered the zone, he wanted the puck and he was feeling it. It seemed like every time he shot the puck was going in the net. So why not take more shots? And that's why he led the team in shots. In terms of shot percentage, Michael Bunting, obviously 10 goals in 21 games, led the team with 26% in terms of shooting percentage. So that will obviously come down next season in a full 82-game season. But again, it's great to see an American Hockey League player make the jump to the NHL and get rewarded and have such a huge impact on the team. Next is game-winning goals. Christian Dvorak with 4 of them. Great to see Dvorak on the board. This one surprised me the most. Power play goals. Dvorak with 8, so almost half of his goals are on the power play. And he's not even like a skilled guy on the power play, but he's in the best position, always in the middle of the ice. Gets nice passes from whoever it is, Keller, Schmaltz, or Kessel. So great to see Dvorak get rewarded on the power play. Maybe if more players played like Dvorak on the power play, we'd have more goals and probably more points and a better standings position. Power play points, it was a tie between Ekman Larsson and Chychrun. I decided to only put Ekman Larsson because, want to give him some praise. Talking smack about OEL a bit too much in the video, but he did tie with Jacob Chychrun in terms of power play points. Face-off percentage, Broussard led the team with 52.6%. Dvorak last season had 55% face-off wins, but this season he went down to about 52%. So a bit disappointing. Dvorak is a young guy. You hope to see him improve every season. So to take a step back in terms of face-off wins was a bit disappointing to see. In terms of possession numbers, Clayton Keller led the team with 54.5%. So he's holding the puck more than the opposition whenever he's on the ice, which is great to see. Also, the short leash line in Keller, Schmaltz, and Garland, they all had possession numbers over 50%, and they had possession numbers about 2% higher than last season. So that's great to see our young guys holding the puck more, having more control of the puck than their opposition when they're on the ice. So love to see those numbers above 50% and see those numbers improve from last season. And last but not least is takeaways. Connor Garland with 34 takeaways. Second place was Nick Schmaltz. Obviously, Nick Schmaltz is always hungry on the back check and trying to take away pucks from the opposition. But Connor Garland is like that as well, and even better than Schmaltz at just taking pucks away from the opposition and generating something out of nothing when he's in the offensive zone or the neutral zone. So that's it. That's a lot of talking, a lot of stats, but it's all here on the board. You can't hide from the stats if you're an NHL player and had a bad season. So I'm hoping for a lot of improvement from a lot of these players. A lot of these guys are unrestricted free agents, so maybe those disappointing numbers we won't see next season. And hopefully they're replaced by players who will have a better impact and more of a positive impact for the Coyotes. Whew. So that's it for me. Thank you for watching. If you like what you see, spread the word. And as always, thank you for your support.